Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Revamped Founder. In this episode, we have Michael Hamilton joining us. He is the founder of HR Simplified and DataSimplified and is building one of the best HR platforms in the world. So, this was a very incredible and very fun conversation. Listen to it till the end. Enjoy. So, hey Michael, how are you?
I'm good in yourself.
I'm doing pretty good.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. So, before we start, can you give a little introduction of yourselves to the viewers or listeners?
Yes, sure. My name is Michael. Name is Hamilton. I'm from a company in South Africa called DataSimplified. I'm one of the founders. We started DataSimplified back in 2016, and we specialize mostly, or we practice mostly in the data sector. So we do a lot of work for financial institutions like banks. Where we do a lot of ETL and data type of work. So my background has always been in data. Most of the work we've done has been in the telco space, actually, where we do call data records and fraud investigations and that type of thing. And recently we started building out more of like SaaS product. So we are in the market now with our own product called HR Simplified, which is a online HR system. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Ah, that's good. So, you started Data Simplified first.
Yes, that's right. So although we have the different names, it's all one company. The company is called DataSimplified, but HR Simplified is a brand, and that's the HR product. Almost like you can say you have Microsoft, and they've got a product called Dynamics. We are DataSimplified. We've got a product called HR Simplified. And then we also have a small division which is called Social Simplified, which does all our social media management and also website design, all that kind of stuff for our clients as well. So we actually we do a few things. We also do some hosting services for clients, .NET hosting or Windows hosting, and then also some WordPress hosting for new websites and that type of thing.
So, Data Simplified deals with financial institutions and mainly data.
Yeah, not really. DataSimplified, although we do mostly data, I would say 90% of our income is generated through data types of development. We also do have quite a few clients that we help in the .NET space. So we do a lot of website development, and by website I mean CMS. So it's a .NET solutions. It's custom built. Some of those people would be in the law firms, that type of thing. Some of those clients we help. Then we've got some other uh, SaaS type of clients where we've built solutions. We've got some e-commerce clients that we've helped, and they've all been done in .NET. So it's C#.NET basically with SQL databases. So that would be most of our work comes out of that space. And then those same resources are the people that build HR Simplified.
All right. So, let's say I'm a financial institution.
Mm-hmm.
So, how will Data Simplified be helpful to me?
Okay,
What is
so
the
I
process?
was, yes, so what we mostly do for financial institutions is we build a thing called SSI or SIS, which is Statutory Information System. So what that would do is it fetches data from all the bank's partners, the transactional data like EFTs and transactions. It puts all of that together into a what they call a universal ledger, which we then create the GL file, the general ledger file from, and we feed that to the core banking system. Um,
Uh-huh.
and that then captures all the statutory information that you need around that. So if you're in South Africa, for instance, where we practice most of this, there's a thing called BankServe, which is our it's like a part of our reserve bank. So all they require certain reporting. Our revenue services also require certain reporting. So things like AML, anti-money laundering reports, and IFRS reports, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
fraudulent reports. So what they do is they track certain transactions per day. Anything bigger than a certain amount needs to be reported, all that kind of stuff. So this platform allows the data to be processed, and that type of information is then stored in a data warehouse, which then allows for that reporting, which is then sent off to those reserve bank and those other clearing houses for banks. So So that's pretty much where we play, or the space that we do most of our work in. And we also do a lot of EFT transactions. So your electronic fund transfers between banks, that happens
Yeah.
on a file-based service. We do a lot of that coming from a bank's partners. We would combine those transactions into single files, which is then sent to the to BankServe, which is the people that transact between banks. And then also, when it comes back, we also split those back into the different partners and send it to them. We also do some Swift transactions. We also do a few other things in that space, but mostly in the transactional part of the business. We also do some core banking migration. So if you're moving from something like Microsoft Great Plains as the financial backend, you maybe move to something like Banks, which is a different core banking system. We can help with those types of migrations. So that's mostly data related, backend ETL, extract, transform, load transactions that we do on platforms like Ab initio or Clover ETL or Clover DX as it's called these days. In some cases, we use a thing called Talent ETL, which is also quite a free one out there for the people that might want to get involved in data manipulation and extraction and transformation. Talent is a free open source ETL platform that you can use to move data between sources and expose data and extract data from files and databases and all kinds of data sources. So we do that in those technologies.
Oh, all right. Got it. So, like, how many clients do you have right now? Any rough idea?
A rough idea. From a data and .NET side, I would say about 19 customers. On the WordPress and social media management side, probably about 2 or 3. Actually, no, I'm lying. It's about 7 or 8. And then on the HR Simplified app, about 165 clients. Yeah.
So, how do you charge your clients? Like, I'm guessing these are big institutions.
Yes, yeah. So
institutions.
yeah, I would say that the financial ones are large institutions. That don't want to mention names because there's NDAs in place, but they are international banks. So we invoice them fixed fees per month. There's a retainer in place, if you want to put it that way. So we have permanent staff working for them on a full-time basis, and we charge that per month. So that's invoiced directly. And most of the other clients, the WordPress and the hosting stuff is invoiced monthly on a fixed fee. Where the other more development type of things in the .NET space, those are done per project. So we will do a scoping of the project before the time. We'll give the client a quote. We do the work, and then we invoice them once we completed with the work. And the same goes for larger SaaS implementations. So things like ThrivePay, we built from scratch. It's a SaaS solution that allows debit order or mandates to be signed by website visitors. That also gets quoted up front as a full project. We did the MVP. We implemented the base product to be able to see how the market adopts it, and then we built it out from there with new features and expanded the system. And that we invoice project by project basis. HR Simplified is pretty straightforward. That happens inside the app. As you sign up, you sign a subscription, and that gets paid at the end of the month. You do it with your credit card, you do a payment towards us, and that comes to our bank account. So that's pretty straightforward, as any other online SaaS product would normally do.
Oh, so DataSimplified is more of not a SaaS with a recurring revenue.
No, DataSimplified is more the development consultancy.
Yeah, like a consultancy. Exactly.
Yes, yeah, we are a consultancy. So we have developers on the payroll, which does development services for clients and website design, and we have some hosting and all that kind of thing that happens there. And then the only ones that subscription SaaS is the HR Simplified solution.
So, for DataSimplified, are there any competitors right now in the market?
Yes, there are. They're mostly. Yeah, we mostly operate in South Africa, so there are a few here. We tend to fit into a niche that we identified quite a few years back, and there's a lot of large organizations in South Africa that kind of monopolizes the development space. Those would be big companies that's got 25,000 employees, like EOH and Altron and those larger corporates. And they normally do the type of work with larger clients like the banks and the telcos and those things. We started DataSimplified because we felt that there was a gap in the market for a smaller type, like a small business, people with up to 50 employees, or companies that size, which needed data type of resources, but they couldn't appoint them on a contract or on a full-time position because they're just too expensive. And they don't have the skill in the development or inside the company. So they would outsource those type of like analytics and reporting and setting up databases and getting processes in place to move their data into databases, that type of thing they couldn't do themselves. And the only option in the market was to outsource that to one of these large corporates like an Altron or an EOH, which is extremely expensive. So we try to fill that gap between that. So if you're a small company and you have data requirements, or even just .NET or that kind of the stuff we do, or even hosting, we can give you that service at a much reduced price because our overheads is a lot lower. So we kind of play in that space. So yes, we do have competitors, but they are mostly larger than us. And we actually have quite a few clients. They're all steady clients. So we've had them for like 4 years. They're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We work together quite well, and they know they can press on our button if they need something. So the relationships are in a good place at the moment, and we're expanding the services to those clients. So a lot of our .NET clients will now start doing WordPress websites for themselves, and we will then do that development and also the hosting. So as we get the needs from our clients, we then expand our services to assist them. So we're growing with our clients.
Yeah. So like, how many employees do you have right now? Any ballpark figure?
We've got about 10 employees, and then we have a few contractors that come and go as we need the skills.
Yeah.
So we do make use of
sorry.
freelancers. Yeah, no, go for it. Yeah.
For consultancy, how scalable it is really, because the more clients you have, the more employees you'll have to hire.
Yes, not all the clients require work at the same time, so it's a question of managing the delivery just in a very tight way. Because we're a small company, we can't just always grow the employee base because we get a new client. Sometimes we have to deliver things in such a way that we can. The other thing that makes us different is the fact that all our resources are highly skilled. So we don't really have junior staff that take long to do something. We've invested in getting people that's really very well skilled in their space, in what they can do. So we can always, we deliver things much quicker than somebody else would. So we just manage the delivery extremely closely.
Yeah.
But
so,
I mean,
go for it.
Yeah. No, I just want to say if a large project does come in, and we might have constraints with employees, we'll go into the market and we'll appoint somebody on a contract. So it depends, and then if that client becomes permanent, we'll make that person permanent as well. But we try and depend on permanent staff rather than going into the market and getting contractors. And we don't because we don't know the contractor as well as we know our own staff. It's always better to use your own staff that you have a relationship with, that you have that engage with you rather than somebody new. But there are certain skills. For instance, our HR Simplified app has got a mobile app that goes with it. That we developed, and that is a skill that we don't really keep in-house. So we actually have a freelancer that comes and goes, helps us out. When we need something, we'll call him in and we'll ask him to do a piece of work. We pay him, and then he goes off again for the mobile development. So that in those cases we will do that. There's some other work as well in the like Microsoft Dynamics space, the Office 365 Dynamics suite. We've got a client that has a CRM system there. And those type of skills are extremely expensive. If you had to go get a Microsoft Dynamics architect and developer, they would be probably one of the most expensive resources you can keep. So to keep somebody like that online and on your payroll for a small change here and there, maybe once every 2 or 3 months, it just doesn't make sense to the client or to us to pay that type of money. So those things we will outsource, except if it's a larger project, then we'll get somebody in that does the work for us permanently if needed.
Yeah. So, like, do you believe that in the starting stage of a company, they should only hire the experts who are 100% like sure in what they're doing?
Okay,
Or
so for in the startup phase, I believe you have to get jack of all trades. You need to get people that can do a lot more than just one type of skill. So they need to be good, yes, but they also need to be people that can go and investigate something and find an alternative way of doing it or finding out how to do it. So if you're a startup, you really need to work on, in that first phase, you have to get jack of all trades, people that can do more than just one thing. As you start growing, then you get those niche skills, those qualified people in the specific areas, and all they do is just that. You don't expect them to do anything else. But that's kind of a rule of thumb for most startups that grow. Once you get to the scale of the growth phase, you start investing in specific skills, but then you get the best guys in that skill. You go out and you get an expensive resource in that skill, a person that has a lot of skill, a lot of experience, and they'll be expensive. But that's normally when your growth and your scaling happens is when you get your investors coming on board. So the funds are there. Once again, you just need to manage all those things properly. But yeah, to answer your question, I would say definitely jack of all trades, appoint those kind of guys. You want to get a developer that can also do, IT administration, that can also do email support, that can do pretty much anything, because you don't have enough money to keep 5, 6 people on payroll. So then you get those jack of all trades, and then after that, as you scale, you will go get those dedicated resources.
What I believe is like a person should be a jack of all trades and a master of one.
Yeah,
Like,
true. The master of one, not the master of none. You know, I do. I've had a few of those. I would say I'll call them unicorns. That's worked for us in the years, where you can give them anything and they will go figure it out. If it is a blockchain implementation, if it's some kind of weird web hosting or some kind of weird CMS system that I've never heard of. You do get those guys, you can literally ask them to go do it. They'll take a day, but they'll figure it out and they'll get it done. And those are the very important people to have when you do a startup, because you just don't know what's coming around the corner. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, somebody knocks on your door and says, well, can you help me with this? It's not part of your service delivery at this stage. You don't have that. But if you have somebody that can do it, it's always good to take that
Yep.
opportunity and try and do it. You know, they always say, fake it until you make it. And that's true.
Yeah.
you have to make as if you know how and go figure it out later. Obviously, never take something on that you know is going to be a failure. You don't want to damage your name, with clients. But I think if you have the right attitude, you can pretty much manage to get anything delivered if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, for sure. So like moving on, can you give a like little in-depth details about HR Simplified? What does that do
Yes.
really?
Okay. So HR Simplified, we started out, 2018. We saw an opportunity for developing a small but specific HR solution that can help small businesses. We're also a small business, and my background is in corporate. So in corporate, you don't take leave or time off without filling in a form and getting it approved. So there are certain things that need to happen. Just from a management point of view, people can't just take off leave and say to the manager, "Oh, I'm going to be back in 2 weeks from now." Nobody knows. So there's no forms for it. There's no record of it. That kind of doesn't work for me. So we were looking for something for our own business, and we decided to go build a very simple interface that just helped us do our own management of leave. And then as that went along, we started speaking to a few people, and we found out that there was going to be one of the larger, I think it was SAP. SAP was going to discontinue its HR or human capital system in 2025, I think, or something like that. So we got a lot of people that we know in HR executive roles that came to us and said, "Why don't you build an enterprise HR system?" And we said, "Sure, that's a big job, but let's go have a look at it." So we went off and we designed the database, how the data would be stored, because we data people. And then we started building the front end to service that database. And we started exposing, the features one by one, things that we envisioned in the application we had in the database already, but we had to build the API that exposes that feature via the back end to the front end. And then we had to build the front end, the user interface, which then allowed the user to use those. So we implemented the leave management part, or the time off part, where you submit a request, it tracks the amount of days you have, it goes to the manager, he clicks approve, gets deducted, manages that process. After a year, or every month you get your days accrued, it does all that process. So we built all that out. And then we realized, but wait a minute, we can also do claims, because a claim is also something you submit, either overtime or an expense claim. Manager approves it, it goes through the process, all that kind of stuff. And then we realized, but for us to do that, we need to have an employee record, because we have to know which employee is taking leave. So we then built out a very basic employee record. And so we started building out all these components. And we started talking to a lot of clients, and they said, "Well, that's nice, but it would be nicer if you could do this, or you could do that, or maybe we can help them with this." So we started taking all that information on board. And we then started building out HR Simplified, but specifically for the small business, because we felt, once again, most of the things we do is for small business. And by small business, I mean up to 50, 60 employees. But since then, we've obviously gone past that, but that's a story for another day. But we ended up then building out the complete HR platform, which is what you would refer to as a human resources information system, or a HRIS system. And we then started adding additional modules to that. So then we added a time and attendance module, which allowed you to do shift working, and you allowed you to book your time. So you could then say, well, this resource was on time from this time until that time, and they had he worked so many hours, and this is the task he worked on. We can capture all those timesheet entries, and we can then generate a timesheet. And the manager can approve it, and then we can, there's a whole lot of things you can do once you start doing that. Then we brought in a check-in, check-out button. Then we brought in shifts. So you can define shifts and put people on shifts. So that all built our whole time and attendance component out. Then we realized, but this only works if you have a project management component. So we then built out a project management component that goes with that. So now we've got agile boards that you can move cards around. You can create projects and track the spending on them and the progress, and there's Gantt charts and burn down charts and all kinds of stuff in the thing. So that was time and attendance and project management. And then we had people coming to us and say, but they've got laptops and phones that they give the people. Can't we build something that does asset management? So we then went and we built an asset management system that also fits inside HRSim. So you load all your assets, and then you can take those assets and you can assign them to an employee. So you know that employee X has got laptop number Y. So if the day he resigns, you can go check what you have to get back from him. So we built that out. And then they said, but wait a minute, we sometimes have staff that need to order maybe something like a uniform that's branded by the company, has to get it from an internal store. Can't we build them a requisition system? So we then built an ordering system inside asset management that allows you to then go and load things, parts, and the staff can then order them, and then somebody in the asset management role can then approve them and then get issued to the employees. So then we built out asset management. And that kept on happening. So we then ended up with performance management. There's a full-on performance management system in this. You can create assessments. You can send it to employees to complete self-assessments, and then the manager completes it and all that kind of stuff. Then we did a training management component so that you can actually go and manage the training that gets identified in performance management. So you can assign certain training that's booked on the system. So you get a training catalog that you can load. Then we went and we built a recruitment platform. So now we've got a recruitment component. So in HR, you would identify the vacancies, create them, that the recruitment module then advertises them outside, or gives you links that you advertise outside. You can take the link and put it on LinkedIn or on Facebook or wherever else, and you can track how people are opening and applying to those, and all the CVs come in, or the resumes come in a pipeline, and you can manage your applicants in that pipeline to see if you want to interview them, and you can actually book the interviews and ask them questions and all kinds of stuff inside the system. And then I think the last one that I haven't mentioned is where we then ended up wanting to do employee engagement for a client. So we built the HR survey system. So we've got a survey system in the platform that actually goes and takes all there's like preloaded surveys. I think there's about 6 of them around employee wellness and employee mental health. And then there's 3 of them that's around health and safety. So for instance, health and safety, there's a questionnaire you can send to somebody and you can pick it. It creates all the questions for you already. And then you just say, well, send this to John, and John will then once a month go and complete the health and safety survey for the office. He'll go check if the fire extinguishers are in the right places, if they fit service, all the stuff that you have to check, because those things are long. They're like 180 questions. And the other ones you can send to anybody in the company, so you can check on employee wellness, but you can also do custom surveys. So you can go set up a survey for something specific you want to do, and you can then send those off to employees to be able to go and go fill them out, and you can see the results come in. You can track how the company is doing, and there's a whole lot of analytics as well. So the whole system is full of analytics. Each of the modules has got its own analytics. Let's call it components. So you can, for instance, go check your HR analytics data. How many employees do you have? What's their salaries? How's their leave being processed? How long does it take? How much do they cost you every month? How much does your sick leave cost you? There's a whole lot of analytics that's built into the system around all these things. But it becomes powerful because it's all on one platform. You don't have to go connect your HR system now to a time and attendance system, or to an HR asset management system, or to a recruitment system. So everything is hosted on the same platform. It literally just enables it. You can just upgrade your package and get the additional features. And then everything just works. If you have to go and assign an asset to somebody, he's already there because he's an employee on the system. You don't have to go add him again. So it makes a lot of sense to have everything in one platform. So, and that's kind of where HR Sim is now. We've got this multifaceted HR platform that really, it's become a people management platform more than just an HR system. But there's a lot in there. It takes like an hour and a half to do a demo of the entire system, because I think we've built so much into it over the last 3-4 years that it's grown to be quite a beast. But it works really well, and our clients that we have is quite impressed with it, because we quickly add new features that they ask. There's a lot of other stuff like sending policies to employees that they need to acknowledge they received. That there's you can send HR notes to an employee, like a warning note, and they need to sign it in the system. So there's really a lot, and each and every one of those features comes from a customer request. So we know that they are needed in the market. It's nothing in there was built because we thought, oh, this is a good idea. Everything comes from the clients asking us to add this feature or that feature. So it's been an interesting roadmap over the last 3 years.
Yeah. So like this is like a B2B SaaS.
Yes, yeah. So it's a out and out business to business. We selling it to other businesses. There's some. We've got clients that start at, some of them have got 3 employees, the owner and 2 employees. So it's a small business. And then we've got some businesses that's got 800 employees. So it works for pretty much everybody. It's got a lot of enterprise features in it. So it's not specifically for the small business anymore. It's now mutated into something much larger than that. But there's a very simple startup package that allows it's a small business. We actually call it startup. Startup business to be able to get their employees on the system quickly, and then start managing stuff from there. Because we find if you wait too long, if you start getting to 5 or 6 employees, then all of a sudden you need an additional manager to start managing delivery, and then then it's too late. By that stage, you should have had an HR system already with everything on it, because then you have to start doing reporting, and you need answers for management, and then you realize it's a bit too late. I should have done this before. So we want to try and get in with the startups. It's really affordable. You can get, that's like $3 per employee. So if you have 3 employees, it's like $9 a month. So it's really not an expensive platform, and it gives you a lot of features. Your value for money is quite high.
Yeah. So it's like a monthly recurring revenue, or
Yes.
like DataSimplified?
Monthly recurring would be HR Simplified. There is obviously recurring happening on DataSimplified as well. For most of our clients, there's a monthly retainer that they're paying. But yeah, the idea is to move the business from all our clients in DataSimplified to change that to a monthly recurring revenue on HR Simplified. So we want to get to a point where we don't do development for our clients anymore. We do only development on HR Simplified. And everything is then funded from HR Simplified. At the moment, HR Simplified is still a cost center. So DataSimplified subsidizes HR Simplified. As we grow, we'll get to a point where what it costs us versus what we get in will change, and then we'll start making some profit on it. But for now, that's not important for us. The business is growing nicely, so we enjoy working on HR Simplified.
Yeah. That's great. So do you have like 10 employees for
Yes,
HR Simplified? Do you have a
it's
freelancer
this.
which does all this?
It's the same. It's the same employees.
Uh-huh.
So when we don't have work for external customers on the .NET side, those resources develop on HR Simplified. So we have the same
Oh,
resources. So bench time converts into new features.
oh, got it. So
We
I
normally
think,
have one resource working on HR Sim at least.
oh
Well,
yeah.
1.5 all the time. So there's always new. We have weekly releases on HR Simplified.
And I think that's important because like one person is looking after the project.
Yes.
And the other-
Yeah, so we've got I do the project management for it, and the
Yeah,
product management, and then we've
yeah,
got a very senior resource that does a lot of the core work in the system, so the foundational, like a new module with features, and then we have somebody else that helps him implement styling and the front end, the user interface stuff. So we kind of split the work between multiple resources, and it makes it much easier to manage. And your quality goes up a bit because you have control over the process. You can't just jump into something and hope it works out. You need to. They always say planning is important because if you don't plan, you plan to fail.
yeah. That's absolutely right.
Uh,
So I guess like that's all the questions I have. You answered it very thoroughly in the explanation.
I've been through those questions quite a few times, so it's been nice to recap them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must say I'm really enjoying the whole Twitter. I'm new on Twitter. I started the account back in 2015, but I've really only started tweeting probably since August last year.
Oh,
So I started getting into it a bit more. I've always
yeah.
looked at it and thought, oh no, that's not for me. But I must say, it's a platform that's really gripped my attention, and I'm spending way too much time on that now.
Yeah.
But it's interesting the amount of skills and ideas and things
Yeah.
out there that people are building is insane. It's so
Yes.
refreshing to see what people can come up with and how they
Yeah.
can use things that don't even cost money and make an income out of it. It's insane. It's so refreshing. I just love it.
Yep. It's an incredible platform.